So, Jon, thank you for your time. You had mentioned that you've been seeing a couple of new trends in the medical device area. And one of them that you mentioned was that they're bringing smaller batches in-house. And as part of that, they're doing a little bit more of package manufacturing at the point of filling and sealing. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And you mentioned that these are smaller batch products. Is that like limited to the scope of when it is that they do this, or do you think this is a general trend moving forward where it's almost because there is form fill seal operations already out there, you just see a little bit more of this happening?
I think it's more on demand for products. If you take a look at one class of products like endoscopic devices,
Mhm.
they would maybe be three or four devices that were used in a lot of general surgeries. So over the last 20 years, now that they're using robots for surgery, there's all these different robot arms that take different instruments. So the days of building maybe 100,000 instruments could be down to as many as 25, 50, or 100. Um, so that reduces the lot size, and there's more need for like on demand. Like, can we produce it tomorrow, put a lot number and expiration date on it and get it out rather than try to put it in inventory because there's so many different SKUs today.
Hmm.
And it makes it
Okay.
very, very difficult to stock them in large quantities. And then a lot of cases you have to pull them back out of inventory and redate them. So there's all kinds of management issues. And some of that was also created, Lisa, because of supply chain during COVID, when you could get materials, you could get films, but you couldn't get blisters and you couldn't get pouches pre-made. For some reason, that took a big hit because that's a different manufacturing process and it takes longer.
Okay.
So after that happened, companies started looking at, boy, can we produce these in-house effectively on a smaller equipment and maybe in smaller batches and make them as we use them. And so that's kind of where I see a trend going now. So that's why we've created a class of equipment called on demand.
Okay.
Produce your product as you need it.
And it sounds, Jon, like this is even for some of the big volume items that they're
Absolutely.
doing this with. How are they being so flexible? How are they able to be so flexible on this? You mentioned your new on-demand machine, but that's how you manufacture it, correct? As far as like the delivery date, or what do you mean by on-demand machine?
Oh, no, no, I mean a machine. So to give you a bit of a case study, one of the major manufacturers of endoscopic devices runs a large number of devices, but has 256 SKUs within the endoscopic field. So for that, they have to have trays for 256 different SKUs. They have to have top web for 256 SKUs, yet the demand may only be 50 or 100 or 200 a week.
Mm, okay.
So trying to stock that is an incredible thing. So we've come up with a machine where we can actually take Tyvek and make the lid in-house and then take a preformed tray and seal it. So it's something that's kind of like a tray sealer they do in food, but nobody was really doing it in medical device with a medical device grade sealer. Um, so
Okay.
what's happened is it saves them a tremendous amount of inventory of lids. They can literally make them as they need them.
That makes a lot of sense. I know that the making as you're on the packaging line rather than using pre-made has saved a lot in some other industries. So this makes total sense here. What are some of the challenges though, because this is more of a regulated market?
You know what? We really haven't got much feedback on any negatives. Uh, it's fairly new. It's within the last year for us.
Okay.
So I guess case studies are kind of going on. We just validated a machine that's going to make three-sided pouches for the customer, and we're doing 21 different sizes, 56 different SKUs, 5 different materials, and they have validated a machine. They started production a few weeks ago. They're actually selling their pouches internal to their other plants, so they've made it a profit center for the facility. So we're hoping to see more of that type of thing within the medical device. It's interesting, Lisa, because again, if you go back, medical just got into our type of equipment, form, fill, and seal, and also pouch or in vertical bagging in the late '80s. And just now they're starting to see the crunch of cutting costs for materials and machines, kind of like the food guys went through. They went through a long period of time of, hey, we're selling a $200 medical device. What do we care if the tray is $5? I see that changing. Now they're
Okay.
becoming more cost conscious on supplies, on their suppliers, on equipment. It's kind of like the glory days are over, right? We're down to business now. There's a lot of
Glory days.
competition. Sutures are a commodity. There's a lot of people making sutures. So now they've got to look at material costs, machine costs, manufacturing costs, clean room space. So it's an exciting time because now you got the sustainability products coming in. The MDMs are now more adapting to different films as they come online, where before they didn't want to validate. We're seeing a lot of new foils out there that are very strong and very easy to form. Um, so things are changing really rapidly on the medical device side. Something that had been a slow train, as you know. It took a long
Yes.
time to move inches, but in the last 5 years, cooperation between manufacturers, suppliers, and the MDMs have been just absolutely fantastic. We're now working as teams.
Another change that you're seeing is in the customer involvement in machine development.
Right,
And especially with the younger generations of engineers, talk to
right.
me about that. What is that all about?
Well, it seems like us old guys kind of got in a rut of we build a machine, they ordered the machine, and let's hope that it comes together and it's really what the customer wants. Today, the younger generation of engineers are know their processes, know what they want to do, know what their capability is in-house, and also what their issues and problems are in-house. So they can bring that to the machine manufacturers and we can customize the machine to work more in their facility. So a same machine, let's say doing suture for one company versus another may be completely different because of the software requirements of the facility, maybe the space of the facility, or just the general knowledge of the operator. Is it going to the Dominican Republic or is it going to St. Angelo, Texas? So so now the engineers they're more involved in the customization, understanding the safety standards. We're changing standards to meet their needs more than we did in the past. Before we just kind of build our machine. And now it's a team
Yeah.
effort and the more heads the better.
John, can you go into a little bit more detail how you're doing this? Is this, digital design, online collaboration? Is it a
Yeah,
little bit more nuts and bolts actually sitting down together?
the last line we delivered was probably the most intense we've done. We literally had weekly meetings with their team. We supply all the drawings, so they would have an opportunity to go through a design review, not just once, but almost weekly. We would talk about changes and different things they saw as where the market was going, what their product was going to be. And a lot of it had to do, of course, software is getting extremely sophisticated. Everybody today is working from a route sheet where you're going to scan it in. They had some special requirements on printing. They didn't want to store the print files. They wanted to use them once and dump them. So we then brought the printer company in. So then we had a collaboration between the four of us on how that software was going to work, even before the machine was built, before the shelf software was designed. So it was a bit difficult because we all have opinions, right? We've all been around a long time and we had our ideas of how we thought it should work. And but it was interesting. At the end of the day, it came out very sophisticated, maybe a little bit of overkill. And I think what we've learned from it is we're kind of backing off some of the things we did because, again, they weren't that practical when we got it in production. But it was a team effort. So the good part is there's no finger pointing. It's like,
right.
Okay, we created this. Let's now fix it and get it to where it needs to be. And at the end of the day, it was a very successful product. The customer got exactly what they wanted. They've just ordered another machine. They're going to put in 2 or 3 more lines. So it was, as we all look back on it, it was very successful. But we all realized what mistakes we made too, which was a big part of it.
Okay, well, going forward, you'll be able to incorporate some of those learnings for the next time. But Jon, I have to ask, I know that there are a lot of machinery manufacturers out there, not necessarily in the medical field, but just in general, who, you've got to do some customization for the systems. And you try to minimize that as much as possible, engineer it in such a way that the customization is easy to accomplish at the last minute. And most of the machine is still designed and I say built, but really I should use assembled, designed and assembled in a modular format.
Right.
Not every machinery manufacturer out there can do that, though. And if you see that this is the direction that most of the customers are moving into, what advice maybe would you have for some of what you learned as you went through this?
It's probably a lot easier for us as a small company. And I've talked to a lot of the U.S. manufacturers that are similar in size. As you've been around a long time, Lisa, too. So you know that a lot of us started out. The U.S. manufacturers in packaging machinery were $3, $4, $5, $10 million companies, right?
What we would call mom and pop companies.
Absolutely. Yep. I mean, Robert Reiser, Charlie Hallfinger. There were a bunch of us in that range, and really what started the big manufacturing companies was the companies that came in from Europe, mainly Germany and Italy, and came in first in pharma with the big pharma companies, the IWKs and groups like that, and then later on Maldivac and Turamed out of Italy, and that really changed the landscape of the U.S. manufacturer. I've always stayed small in the 3 companies I've had. I've always reached a plateau where we felt really comfortable, and the reason being, we're very let's call ourselves swift on our feet. We can take technologies, move into them very quickly. I'm sure we outpaced everybody in going to an all servo machine because we had that ability to. We didn't have to go through boards of people to talk about it. We got with the customers. We said, "What kind of servos do you like?" We put the technology in. We built a machine to try it. So that gives us the
is much
advantage.
Quicker. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and decision making is quicker.
Yeah, and if we couldn't do that, we probably wouldn't be in business. If we just tried to compete with building these big machines, and it'd be very difficult. So we have to offer something different, and that's what separates us. And there's customers for us and there's customers for them, fortunately. So, and the other thing I didn't want to leave out is the film guys have played a very, very important part. We're really ingrained with their technologies and what they're doing to get off some of the old films like Serlin and move in some new 7-layer, 11-layer films that are cheaper and actually perform much better than some of the old legacy films. Okay. And I think the medical device guys are seeing that now. Again, a case study, we supplied a little over a dozen machines to a customer, and by changing their film, what they're using to a newer technology film, they had a ROI investment on their machines of 2 years just based on film, based on nothing else. Okay. And so that's kind of a breakthrough. I don't know where we're going with sustainability. That could be another thing, but it's just it's a different world. It's actually exciting.
It is. There's always so much going on. It's pretty
Sure.
dynamic.